Hey y'all, iRick Guy here, and I wanted to post a follow-up review for the DJI Ronin-S. Now, my first field test, and I appreciate y'all's feedback. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. The first day that I took the Ronin-S out in the field, I captured a lot of video, but it didn't feel, the video after I downloaded it didn't seem 100% correct. And several of y'all confirmed that, hey man, it doesn't look like it's balanced correctly. So what I've done is I've taken everything apart, well, not everything apart, but I'll do that just for the sake of demonstration. Taking everything apart, and I'm going to rebalance it. So, so taking this out of the box, you basically got, and this right here, I'll take it off too, why not? That's the infrared. The video where I couldn't get it to work with my Sony Alpha, the record button, this was a magic bullet for that. That was a lesson learned, because the Sony a7 III, at least currently, the USB-C or micro USB will not enable the record button to function on the Ronin-S. You've got to use the included infrared cable. So that was a painful lesson learned. So we're going to put this back together. So the first thing obviously is to look at this, and you can see the little electronic connectors, and the same thing on this. So just gently slide this in. Another pain point, if you're new to the Ronin-S, this lock, just push it until it stops. Don't force it. I've heard several reports online of people pushing it all the way, and I would say that if I was DJI, right here where it says lock, I would put some sort of indicator there so that you don't think that you've got to go all the way to the end to lock it. Because to my knowledge, it won't go that far. So just something to be aware of. Then you're going to want to screw in the included tripod base. This is important because what it'll let you do is set your Ronin-S on a flat surface. Now again, I'm using the a7S III and a 25mm lens. Check the link within this video's description. You can find the camera, the lens, and then also the Ronin-S. Now, it's worth mentioning that there's the plate that comes with the Ronin-S, which is there. But there's also a very small plate, a riser style plate. So I've connected the riser, and then I put this onto that. Obviously, make sure, and I'm not going to reconnect it in this video because I've got everything meticulously aligned. Make sure of a few things. Number one, on the plate, the riser plate, if you're using that, and I am because you can see my lens is kind of fat. And I'm kind of fat too. But yeah, the riser plate for me was important because that way the lens isn't right on it. And also if I'm performing lens changes, obviously I'd have to rebalance after a lens change. But if I'm performing a lens change when I'm using this camera off of the Ronin-S, my intent is to still use this plate, because this plate, and stay tuned for my video on that, but I'm getting a tripod that's compatible with this plate. So in theory, I should be able to leave this plate, this DJI Ronin-S plate, attached to my a7 III, and eliminate one pain point. Because if I go from a7 III to tripod, just use the same plate. If I'm not using the tripod, I can simply connect my neck strap and use, sorry, there's some fuzz on my viewfinder here. And I can connect my neck strap and just use it as a neck wearable camera. And stay tuned, because I've got a quick disconnect neck strap that'll be cool, because I can leave something connected to the camera, and then when I take it off of the Ronin-S, plug it back into the neck strap without having to go through all the hoopla with configuring a neck strap. So make sure your riser plate's on there. Make sure that everything, what I recommend doing is looking at the bottom of your lens and seeing if everything appears to be straight. And of course mine is, because I meticulously aligned it. There's an arrow on one end of your Ronin-S plate. Make sure that arrow faces forward, faces where the lens is facing. And if that arrow is facing there, on the back, on the top back of the plate, you should see the DJI logo. So again, arrow facing forward. Because what you're going to see here is a forward-facing arrow as well. So when you put your camera on, you're going to want to make sure arrow is facing forward here, arrow is facing forward there. So to attach my camera, all that I do, you got to push this little lock. If you don't push that lock button, it's not going to slide in. So you got to depress that lock button and then start sliding your camera. When you let go, this lock should prevent the camera from flying off in the front, and it should prevent the camera from flying off in the back. Just a good safety feature, especially when you're dealing with expensive cameras. I mean, these things aren't cheap. So now the first thing we're going to do is position this in a way to where it feels somewhat balanced forwards and backwards. So if I slide back, you see it's going to fall that way. If I go too far front, you see it's going to fall that way. See? So what I want to do is find the happy medium. So I'm just going to slide this until it feels somewhat balanced. Okay, right there I think it actually is. So then I'm going to push the lock lever on the side. And again, it doesn't go all the way forward, so don't, again, I wish DJI had done a better job of that. So it doesn't look like I'm as balanced as well as I thought I was. So this DJI plate is numbered. So you can play with this until you get it balanced, and then you can document where you had it. Because if you're not changing your camera configuration or lens configuration, it should be balanced the next time you fire things up, or you slide it on your gimbal. So right here, I'm just a little bit, and the way I've got it lined up, I'm a little bit over the 2 mark. So that seems like it's probably balanced. So that's just one adjustment point. And again, that was sliding the plate in and then locking the plate once I had it slid to where it wasn't moving forward or backwards. So now you can see though that this is cockeyed here. It's leaning that way. So now I need to adjust that point. I have heard some people, after my first experience in the field and realizing I didn't have it optimally balanced, a lot of people were suggesting that having your camera body as close as possible to this piece is advantageous. So now I'm doing this knob right here, this unlock knob on the bottom to slide this. So see, now you can see I slid it that way. Now the camera's falling that way. If I go back this way, see, now I'm trying to get the camera level. It looks like that may actually be, let's see. It still needs to go. And I mean, you're going to need to be on a flat surface when you do this, because you're going to look at this and realize that it's almost there but not quite there. So now I'm just going to slide it just a hair, lock this. Now see, I went too far because it's falling that way. And now I went a little bit too far that way because it's falling that way. There's a fine line. Now that, well, almost level. Too far. And this may appear to be frustrating, but keep in mind, unless you're changing your camera body, lens, and/or camera accessories, you're probably not going to have to rebalance once you get it balanced the first time. And I will tell you from experience, dealing with other camera stabilizer solutions, some of which I could never seem to get to be balanced, this right here seems very, very user-friendly. And from what I've read, they say if you move your camera around and you let go and it stays in its place, that's an indication that it should be balanced. What I'm doing now is just looking at my range of motion. Especially with cameras like this that are expensive, you don't want them just flopping around and potentially breaking. So far, this is looking pretty good. I think I may be just a hair off. There's a tool within the app. There's a thing that you can run that tells you if you're balanced or not. Now I ran that before my initial first time in the field with the Ronin-S, and it was saying everything. I think the word was exceptional or excellent, I forget, but it was in all categories, all adjustment points. The app felt that it was perfectly balanced. But the results that I posted online, although visually pleasing, a lot of y'all said that, hey man, it looks like your camera's not perfectly balanced. And I think, let's see, I think I'm just barely facing up just a hair. So I'm going to move this just a hair here. Okay, I think that's perfect now. I mean, I was literally just a hair. But whoop, went too far. See, now I was falling forward. Well, let's see, maybe not. As people were saying, if you move it and you let go and it kind of stays where it is, that's an indication that it may be somewhat well balanced. And ultimately, you know, this is one of those scenarios where you're probably going to have to balance it and then take it out in the field and see how the video looks, because that's going to be the telltale sign. But I can tell you, just from moving this around, obviously it goes without saying this is powered off. You never want to make adjustments with it powered on. But it seems like things are somewhat well balanced now. Now there is an adjustment. There's an adjustment here, which that's the up and down. I think they call it the vertical. Well, vertical means up and down. I think they call it the vertical axis adjustment, which is this one. But the one on the back, I'm curious if it needs to be. See how I've kind of got it far out towards the end. If I need to maybe put it more in the middle. Let's do that and just see how that affects behavior. See, now it's rolling to the left. Yeah, so I think I must have needed to be where it was. See, now I went too far. But I can't brag more on how how exceptional the build quality of this is. I mean, DJI did a really good job. When I'm adjusting this, it just feels very well made. See, now I went too far. Okay, now that may be, well, almost. See, too far. Yeah, too far that way. Oh, may have it. Nope. Let's lock this and take a look. It's still leaning that way, but I'm wondering, with it leaning that way now, if I should adjust the slider on the bottom, like people were suggesting. Try to get the camera body closer to the. It needs to go the other way. Aha. Okay, now see the camera, when I pulled it up, it stayed upright. When I put it there, it stayed there. Put it there, it stayed there. And, you know, I wish there was a better science to this, but again, it's one of those deals where once you get everything optimally adjusted for your camera and lens, hopefully it won't require repeat readjustments. Because I mean, if this was something every time you went in the field you had to do this, it would become annoying very quickly. I think I need to slide this just a hair here. See, that stays in place. So I think we may actually be onto something. Now, powering this thing on, you got to push the power button on the bottom of the grip and then do this one. That's been a point of confusion for a lot of people. Okay, so it makes the ding sound. It's powered on. Now I'm going to go into the DJI Ronin app, and we're going to check the balance and see what it says. So I'm going into configuration, settings, more, balance test. Oops. I got to connect to the Ronin first, duh. Wish it would do that automatically when you connect to the app, but I mean, that's just a small gripe. So configuration, settings, more, balance test. And while it's doing its balance test, I'm looking for any noticeable jerks. Okay, balance test results: tilt, excellent; roll, excellent; pan, excellent. So, you know, everything per the app suggests that it's perfectly balanced. Now what I'm going to do is play with the joystick here in the studio and just go through various movements. Okay, that was up and down. Now I'm going to pan. Now actually I'm going to try this in the app too, because the app has a control. I want to see if okay, I think the triple tap on this front trigger should point it towards me. 1, 2, 3. Yep, so like a vlogging type thing. Okay, so that's like a vlogging type setup. And then if I triple tap again, 1, 2, 3, or maybe 1, 2. Okay, so 1, 2 is center forward. 1, 2, 3, vlog. 1, 2, center. Okay, that's working. So, and now, oh, what I was saying, I was going to try this in the app now. So, instead of using the joystick on the back, I'm going to go into the Ronin app, into the control section of it, and we're going to do some going into create, capture, and I'm going to use the little virtual joystick within the app. So now I'm just panning to the right, and while I'm panning, I'm looking to see if this is if the camera is going down. And as I pan, it actually is. It seems like, yeah, well, it doesn't seem like it actually is. So you can see as I'm panning, the camera's starting to go down, and I don't think I was angled that way. See now, let me see. Okay, it's got a little virtual joystick in here. So I'm going to pull this over and pay close attention to where it is. Now it seems to be somewhat perfectly Straight right. Okay, that's what it was. I was inadvertently pulling my thumb down a little bit within the app, and that was making it do that. But just looking at the behavior here, the gimbal seems to be mimicking what I'm doing within the app, and I don't notice any stability issues here. Now there's several features that this camera has. Let's see. It's got a panorama. That's something I'll play with later in the field, but just trying to think of any other, out of best practice, let's go ahead and go back into settings and more, and let's do another balance test and see if this one comes back excellent in all categories. Balance test results: tilt, excellent; roll, excellent; pan, excellent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to power off the Ronin-S by pushing the top button first, and then the bottom one down here on the grip. And see, when I powered it off, excuse me, it remains balanced here. The piece we didn't do previously is attach this infrared piece, and since I'm using the Sony Alpha camera, it's important that this be used to be able to control the camera by way of the record button or shutter button, whatever you want to call it, built into the Ronin-S's grip. So now I'm going to stick this in here, and then this piece, this is what's kind of funny, and I actually made a mistake in a previous video. At least on this model camera, the A7 III, the little infrared port is right there in the right grip. So what you want to do with this, and this is a semi-rigid cable, you just kind of want to put it, well, you don't want it to be in your camera's field of view, so you want to kind of twist it around, whatever you need to do. I recommend going down below the lens and then just positioning it so that it is down low in front of your infrared reader on your camera. Again, with the A7 III, that infrared reader is, let's see, is down low there. What you don't want to do, and this is where I made a mistake previously, you don't want it to be up here because that's your light sensor. and if it's there, that could potentially create autofocus problems. So be aware of you know where your little cable is positioned. But again, that's with the A7S, with the the A7 III that I'm using. Not that it should have made a big difference, but with that infrared thing attached, let's power our Ronin-S back up. Go back into Ronin app. Do balance test. Okay, balance results: tilt, excellent; roll, excellent; pan, excellent. So it looks like that's good. One other thing, and I'm going to power this off and back on because you never want to touch your camera when it's on the gimbal. Because when the gimbal's powered on, I meant to say you don't want to touch your camera when it's attached to the powered on gimbal. Gimbal's powered off now. Always turn your camera on first, and obviously I'm in video mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the lens cap. Now we're going to power our gimbal back on. And now we're just going to test, looking through the viewfinder, see if if everything also suggests that it's level. We're going to go back to our selfie mode with a triple tap and then a double tap to go back forward. That's one of the cool things about the A7 III is that I can see what the Ronin-S sees. Just going throughout, now that range of motion there, when I went far to the right, it bottomed out. So there's certain movements that you can't make. So just basic stuff like this. This is fine. Let's see how far back I can go. Kind of go far back. I'm going to use the joystick. Going to go up. Use the joystick. Go back down. Now what I want to do is make sure my infrared sensor is working. So to do that, I'm just going to hit record. Boom, you hear the record sound. So now it's recording. And I hit record again. There we go. And it stopped recording. So if that doesn't work, you need to check the position of your little infrared sensor and make sure it's pointing towards the infrared port on your camera. Again, in my case, the Sony A7 III. And let's see. Let me see if I can go in a circle here using the joystick. Okay, so that's panning in a very level fashion. I think everything that I'm seeing in the app confirms it too. Everything that I'm seeing suggests that this camera should now be perfectly balanced on the Ronin-S. So, again, one of those things, until we take it out in the field, we're not going to be able to confirm, but once I take it out in the field, okay, double tap to center back forward, triple tap to go towards me. Once I take it back out in the field, I'll be able to confirm or deny. So stay tuned for my video. I want you to tell me what you think about my first video after performing this recalibration. How does it look? Is it perfect? Does it still need adjustment? Do you have one of these? Is there something you did that I didn't do that provided you with optimal results? Tell me what you think and be sure to subscribe. And again, check the link within this video's description because you can find the Ronin-S, the Sony camera, the 25mm lens, and I'll put a link to that tripod there as well because I'm getting a tripod that's compatible with this Ronin-S plate. So thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Iric Sky here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.